Okay, so now that we've simplified the effect of a tax, what I want to do is, again, try to explore the determinants. Okay, so what we notice here is we have two graphs. Now, if you notice, the equilibria are the same, okay, regardless. Okay, but then what we can do is try and look and see what happens when we have a tax applied to these particular markets. Okay, all right. So we see here in terms of the tax, what do we have? Okay, we have this as the impact. Okay, so then what we can do is we can look at the graph here and again draw the same tax. Okay, so in both cases we've drawn the effect, but we notice that there is some difference. Okay, in terms of the quantity going down, the price buyers pay going up, the price sellers receive going down, this is the same. Okay, but in terms of the tax burden, what do we notice? Okay, we notice that in terms of the tax burden for the buyers, tax burden is greater where? Okay, the tax burden is greater here. Okay, what do we notice? Here, the price buyers pay as a result of the tax goes up a lot more than it does over here. Here it barely changes, but here it goes up by a much larger amount. Okay, and so the question is, what explains this difference? Why is the tax burden greater here for the buyers as opposed to here? Okay, if you notice, the supply curve is exactly the same for both of these graphs. So what's the difference is the demand curve. And in particular, what can we say about it? Here we see the demand curve is flat. Here the demand is steep. So what does that have to do with? Well, this has to do with elasticity. Okay, here, because it's flat, the demand is inelastic, or elastic. Okay, and here, the demand is inelastic. Okay, and so the idea is the more inelastic the demand curve, the greater the burden of the tax on the buyers. Okay. So again, the more inelastic the demand curve, the greater the burden of the tax on the buyers.